Welcome back to the Doing Good podcast, where we celebrate volunteers, their stories, organizations, and passion for making a difference. I'm Megan McInnis, your host for this episode, and I'm glad you're here with us. After listening, we encourage you to share this volunteer story to hopefully educate or even inspire someone to act. Now, on to celebrating those who are doing good. Hello, and welcome to the Doing Good podcast. I'm excited about every episode we create, but this one is an extra special treat. Let me explain. Here at Doing Good, our goal is simple. We serve other nonprofits by providing them marketing and public relations tools and opportunities. You might be thinking, how do we do this? Doing Good brings the stories of other nonprofits to life by celebrating the other agencies' volunteers in audio, visual, and the written form. This podcast is an example of audio. One video example is currently our YouTube channel and soon also on television. And the written word includes everything from social media to newsletters and press releases. The reason this episode is extra special, we're turning the mic around and introducing you to 3 Doing Good volunteers who each serve by sharing their talent and passion behind the scenes. Azilee is one of our wonderful podcast producers. Jay is our podcast manager and YouTube expert. And Carrie is our incredible copy editor. You may be thinking, this sounds good, Megan, but why now? Timing is everything, they say, right? Well, April is National Volunteer Month. And because April is National Volunteer Month, we think this is the perfect time to shine a light on our Doing Good creative volunteers who develop the marketing and PR tools for each agency we serve. So, let's begin with each of them sharing a bit about how they donate their time to Doing Good and about themselves. So let's start with Azilee. Azilee has been with Doing Good for 9 months now, and from the moment she joined the team, she hit the ground running. She's a podcast enthusiast, an expertly organized coordinator, and truly a gift to this team. Azilee, welcome. Will you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to volunteer with Doing Good?
Thanks, Megan. I was looking for interesting ways to give back that I could do remotely since I'm immunocompromised, and I also don't have the most normal schedule. So on top of that, I totally love podcasts and I'm always listening to them like nonstop. So when I found this opportunity, I was really excited because it just ticked all those boxes.
Love that. Will you share a little bit more about the role that you play at Doing Good as a podcast producer?
My role here is basically to reach out to the volunteers that we are going to speak with and get them all situated, let them know what's going to happen, schedule everything. And then once we do the recording, then go through the whole process of making sure it hits every team so that we finish the polished podcast. And then I basically get to press publish, even though I'm, just one part. So, yeah.
Nicely said, Azilee. Thank you. And thank you for the heart and talent you bring to Doing Good in this work. To be sure we fit everybody in, let's shift gears quickly and talk about video. We created our Doing Good YouTube video channel a while back, but our resident expert, Jay the podcast mechanic, is taking it to new levels. Jay has been with Doing Good for a couple years now, and we're beyond lucky to have him. His podcast mechanic business specializes in audio engineering, sound design, and editing. He brings technical expertise and a true heart for storytelling with his contributions behind the scenes, helping everything run smoothly. Welcome, Jay. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Megan. I'm grateful, as usual. Thanks for having me. I love being here. You already know that.
You're so good. Jay, one thing that is unique about you and how you volunteer is you're choosing to volunteer your time by doing things very similar to your daily work. Would you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and why and how you're choosing to volunteer with Doing Good?
Well, I'm a freelance producer. I have a background in audio and engineering, and music production is kind of where I got my start. I've always been interested in media. I've interned in radio and created some programs as a station manager in college too. I didn't realize that everything that I was doing was basically preparing me for this right here. Right before the pandemic, working overnight shift at a major retailer, I won't go into that name. I just like Azilee mentioned before, I listened to an ungodly amount of podcasts. So it was like working an 8-hour shift. I was just listening to podcasts. So that's something I invested my time in. I found out that a friend of mine who used to be on air as a personality at a couple of the local channels also had a show. So when I found that out, I kind of like reached out to him. I was like, yo, I can help you up your quality, make you sound better. And that's kind of like where I got started. So as far as like the opportunity of volunteering with Doing Good, fast forward to 2023, got on a call with Megan, saw the volunteer match application. So you guys were looking for a podcast editor. And that's kind of like where I got my start with you guys.
We're so glad you found us. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do with Doing Good?
I would say my job is to make sure every episode sounds good, so that we can put them on platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and then make sure they also look and sound good now that we started putting episodes on YouTube. So anywhere that people are watching podcasts and we want to get there eventually, that's kind of like what I'm helping to do. There's a lot that goes on, so I'm not even going to bother you with all the details on that. That's another story. But recently, since we started putting stuff on YouTube, it's still a work in progress. So I try to be there every step of the process and ensure everything is nice and people can appreciate it, no matter who's pressing the play button.
Thank you, Jay. You bring such an incredible depth of experience and care to each and every episode. You do. Now, last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Carrie. Carrie is our copy editor who partners with all of our writers. Carrie, welcome. Tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're choosing to volunteer in life right now. And of course, what you do for Doing Good, if you can.
Sure. Yes. Thanks. Thank you, Megan. It's been really an honor to be a part of the Doing Good team. And I've been a volunteer for, I think, a little over a year now, and I'm located in Minnesota. And when I started to think about volunteering, I wanted to do it just because I really enjoy helping others. And I wanted to get back into writing and editing, which was something that I really loved doing when I was younger and haven't done a lot of since I was in college. So when I found Doing Good and this volunteer opportunity, I really felt like it encompassed all those passions and was just really a perfect way to give back and also give me the opportunity to do some of those things that I love and to practice them. And as far as my role at Doing Good, I partner with the writers who craft all the written content that supports our mission. And what I love really most about helping nonprofits is helping to find the words that really reflect their impact. A lot of these nonprofit organizations are so focused on their work, which is just incredible, but they don't always have the time or tools to tell their own story. And I get to help with that. And it's just been incredibly meaningful work. And I've really loved it.
Well said, Carrie. You have quite the way with words. Thank you for your attention to detail and how you help bring heart and life to every single story. Now, since this is National Volunteer Month, and this podcast episode is about highlighting our own volunteers, I have a 2-part question for each of you. First, what is your favorite part of volunteering with Doing Good? Or to share a doing good moment or experience which stayed with you. Then second, do you have a guest who we served who really impacted you in some way? So let's stick with our order from before. So Azilee, start us off, then Jay, then Carrie.
Well, my favorite part about doing this podcast is sort of the human side of volunteering, getting to see it instead of just, we must get this labor done and sort of no personality. You get to really hear about the people and all the work they put in and care they put in to make, all these things happen. And in terms of a favorite moment, I really enjoyed our episode with John Soto because he had like a really cool experience where he talked about his brother and him with a social worker, like running to try and get the lease that they were working on in time so that they would still have housing. And it was really harrowing, but it was also very beautiful because he talks about looking back at his brother and how that sort of fuels him, that social workers care really fuels him to continue doing work like that in his own life today. So I thought that was beautiful. And I just love hearing moments like that.
What I love most is working with you guys. I love the team, everybody on the team. We're such a small, close-knit, family at this point. So it's really cool to not have, because you have organizations that have 100 people and you really don't know a fraction of those people, which is but I love working with you guys because everybody has their own perspective on how to produce things. So that's really cool and I learned a lot. And then an episode that really touched me was one with Idella Hansen. She's a truck driver, which is really cool. She's been driving for 54 years. They have a truckers group where they go around for Christmas and help families in needs, which I think is really cool. They don't just bring them items, they actually give them money. So if there's things that they need to get, outside of just getting a present or anything like that, they can go and do that with those funds. So I think that was a really cool thing. And I always think about truckers as big, scruffy, deep voice cats, but knowing that she's around and knowing that they do things like this, I think is really pointful.
I would say that one of my favorite parts of volunteering is just being able to give back and help others. I love learning about all the different volunteers and all their different stories. And I think also just having the opportunity to utilize some of my skills to help share stories about volunteers and everything that they do and about the people that they serve. As for the volunteer who has impacted me the most, I think back to when I guest that we had over the summer. I believe her name was Jill Pratt. And she had a child who was diagnosed with a developmental disability. And just as a parent, it was just incredible to hear her story. And instead of her really dwelling on that hard news, she kind of turned things around and instead focused on bringing joy to her child's life and also bringing joy to other children and families with disabilities. And again, it was incredible to hear her story and all that she's done for others.
People are so amazing. So thank you all. Thank you, Carrie, for that. And thank you all for sharing. And I have to say, I'm very one of the things about Doing Good that I find most interesting is Doing Good attracts the most incredible people. They each have their own talents and passions, but one of them inevitably is just the interest, the sincere, genuine interest in highlighting other people. So let's move on to a little bit of a lighter, more fun part of the podcast episode where we get to find out more about them. So, going in the same order as before. Azilee, are you ready? You're ready. All right. The serious. Okay, here we go. Is it coffee, tea, hot chocolate, or I'll say distilled water while you work?
Okay. If I have to choose between all of those and it's hot,
Yes.
it's coffee, always coffee. However, if it's cold and any other time of day, it's La Joie. Limoncello preferred.
Yes.
And yeah, this isn't a sponsorship. They could send me stuff though if they want.
That's what I was about to say. This ad was not supported by the company. Yes.
Also, just for those out there, La Joie is LaCroix to all my fellow, American.
And Azilee, when you're not listening to the Doing Good podcast, which I'm sure you are at all waking hours, what podcasts are you listening to? And do you have a favorite?
Okay, so this is a common joke with me and my husband because he subscribes to like 4 podcasts and I subscribe to almost 800. So I maybe have a bit of a problem. But when I thought about answering this question, you guys asked me to say 1. I said no. 10. Okay, so I got it down to like 3. And these I'm saying because I chose these because they aren't super, super big. And I think they need more attention. So yeah. I just had to focus on something. So first one is called This Is Love from the maker of Criminal. Love it. Second one is Off Menu with my favorite comedian, James Acaster. And then, okay, I'm going to do 4. How I Get By, which is like, he interviews people about how they make money and how they like just are able to afford the life they have from like, a janitor to a pilot. And then the last one is Where Are You Going? Where she interviews people all around the world and talks to strangers, which seems really stressful, but you don't have to do it. You can just listen.
Excellent choices. Like them. Thank you for sharing. Jay, what is one thing for you that makes a great audio recording?
That's kind of different. What makes a good audio recording? I mean, if I'm listening to something, I think the person's voice, their tone. So if I'm listening to somebody that has a really nice voice, I really tend to, get into those shows, especially if they're talking about something, which is like a plus. I think the other thing is like on the production side, if that's where that question was going, being prepared. I think being prepared is like number 1. If you're not prepared, you can't produce quality content. That's what I feel like.
Look at you. And I'm not hearing the high-tech stuff. I'm hearing the fundamentals.
It's none of that. Kick that stuff to the curb.
Well, since you're the audio...
No, don't kick this stuff to the curb. But I mean, you don't have to purchase any high-end stuff. Just be prepared and know how to use what you got.
Okay. So, Jay, gotta get some fun one in here for you.
Okay. All right.
So you're into music.
Coffee.
Coffee's your...
Coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. Coffee for me.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. You were asking me that question.
Yes. Okay.
No, but go ahead, Nick.
Yes. Okay. I want to know, especially since I know a little bit about your background, what is the song you listen to that gets you pumped up in the zone, ready for whatever life throws at you?
All Caps by MF Doom. Yeah. It's going to be all caps. That's one of my favorite songs by him. Rest in peace. But yeah, all caps, man. That's like from beginning to end is something I can listen to. I'll turn it up super loud if I'm here by myself, not disturbing anybody. Because, I love me some MF Doom. That's probably my favorite rap artist. But yeah, all caps. It gets me pumped up, energized. Anytime I'm down and I need something to get me going, I throw on some MF Doom. All caps is number 1.
There you go. Love it. Ad for MF Doom. All caps.
All caps.
I'm sorry,
It's spelled
I didn't get
in
that.
all caps. All caps. It's
What was
spelled
that?
in all caps.
Okay, could we see a little bit of the dance you do while you do your pump up?
This is the visual part.
Oh, no.
That's amazing dancing.
Oh my goodness, I don't know what to do with y'all. Okay, great. Thank you, Jay. Moving on to Carrie. You're the one who has such a way with the written word. So what is a key word or phrase that you find yourself using a little bit too much sometimes?
I think I would say amazing and incredible are two words that I use a lot. I worked for a nonprofit for many years that managed organ, eye, and tissue donations. And those were often words used to describe the gift of donation or gift of life. So they're really just ingrained in my mind, I think, and at the forefront of my mind when I'm writing or trying to think of descriptive words. And I know I definitely use them, probably more than I should.
Amazing. Incredible. Carrie. Great. Then sticking with your love of words. Are you ready?
I am.
Who is a literary character you think you are most like? Or who would you like to be more like?
That's a good question. I don't know if I can think of one right now, but I remember when I was growing up, the character I identified a lot with was Amy, the youngest sister in Little Women. I'm the youngest of three and was just always more interested in the creative, artistic side of things than my siblings. And being the youngest, like Amy, I wanted to always try to find my own path and do things separate from my brother and sister and just kind of have my own independent way of doing things.
Look at you. I love it. I love it. Oh, I have learned so much about each of you. This is great. We should do this more often. This was so much fun. Thank you all for taking the time today to talk about your passion for volunteering, for choosing to share your creative talents with doing good to benefit so many volunteers, each and every agency they represent, and frankly, assisting in helping reach more clients. And helping them, I'll say, expand their mission and use the links, use the episode interviews, use the tools that we provide them in any way they care to use them. And in doing so, you, my friends, you power the mission of doing good. So I can't thank you enough. Today's episode highlighted just a few of Doing Good's own volunteers, yet we have a team of many who are involved in a variety of ways for our Doing Good 501c3 nonprofit. I personally look forward to interviewing more of our own volunteers like this in future episodes. But I have to thank each and every agency and volunteer we get to highlight through our marketing and public relations efforts. Absolutely. We applaud them and just want to provide them the tools and opportunities they deserve. And finally, thank you to our listeners for hanging out with us. If you are interested in volunteering or anything else with Doing Good, visit our website, doinggood.tv. That's doing good with 2 G's, .tv as in television. We'll see you there, online, practically anywhere at Doing Good TV, and definitely in future podcast episodes. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Doing Good podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation today, we invite you to subscribe or rate us on your favorite podcast platform and Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, or YouTube at Doing Good TV. Doing Good is a 501c3 nonprofit. Please donate to support this podcast via the donate button on our website, doinggood.tv. And while you're there, nominate a volunteer you know for us to celebrate on a future episode. Together, let's celebrate those who are doing good.